Today, LSU grab another major transfer portal piece. Okay, now, many people looking at LSU's offensive line going into 2023 go, oh, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, only sophomores, already starter experience. We're good on the tackles, right? Well, then when you move to the interior, then you kind of have some questions, and as well as the depth at tackle. Should we lose Will Campbell or Emory Jones? But when you move inside, we've lost guys like Anthony Bradford, Xavier Hill, Cardell Thomas, even Marcus Dumerville. Play offensive tackle. He's gone as well. So you've lost some depth on the inside and some on the edge as well. Cam Wire's gone as well. You know, it was kind of a quiet thing because LSU's offensive line maybe overachieved in 2022 when you talk about, you know, two true freshmen doing what they did, and when you talk about a line that, you know, was just riddled with injuries. You know, Garrett Dellinger had like 3 different injuries and just kept playing through them. You know, there was so many different lineups that they used as well, but there was a difference compared to the James Craig era where, yeah, there was a lot of shuffling. Yeah, there was a lot of figuring it out. Yeah, there was a lot of injuries. But there was a development that was going on with Brad Davis in this offensive line in 2022, and you saw that. And it's inspiring every offensive lineman in the country that, you know, hey, Miles Frazier came to LSU, looks like an absolute freak in just one season. Anthony Bradford, going into the NFL draft, really just had 1 year of being a starter, wire to wire, due to injuries, not being, you know, one of the favored selections for his role, not being able to find a role really for him, whether he was a tackle or a guard. They kept, you know, going back and forth. But LSU had a really strong offensive line presence at different times last year. I know they had some games where they absolutely whiffed, had some games where they were really, really poor. But all in all, everything going in the right direction, offensive line-wise. But what did LSU need going into 2023 for the offensive line? Veteran leadership. Whether the guy's a starter, whether he's a depth option. We needed some guys who could bridge that gap with just pure experience. Because when you look at that offensive line group, it's really young. You needed some guys who could just pure experience. And that's what they have to offer, is just pure leadership, pure experience, pure know-how. Been there, done it before. And that's what we're getting with Mason Lunsford. Maryland transfer. Started 25 games for the Terrapins. Highly sought after. Went to LSU this last weekend. Hung out with Brad Davis. Hung out with a lot of different offensive linemen on the roster. In the recruiting world. Who were there on campus. Saw what type of culture Brad Davis is building there. You know, it's not just Brad Davis. You got Coach Steve Demio, who's really, really becoming a name mentioned a lot by these offensive linemen. Someone we saw recruit in person. We saw Steve Demio and Brad Davis recruiting Logan Rice shirts back in March of 2022 on his visit. And seeing that up close in person was pretty incredible, how they're going to harvest offensive linemen each and every offseason to try and really make that a strength for the Tigers. I mean, you thought that, okay, we got the offensive linemen in 2022, right? The pillar guys, Emory Jones, Will Campbell, and then even Bo Bordelon can add some flavor there. Then you got Miles Frazier in the transfer portal, but here's the thing. Year in, year out, and you saw it with what we lost in the transfer portal, who we lost in the transfer portal, and to the NFL draft. Year in, year out, they are going to do whatever it takes, Brad Davis, to stack the talent. Every year, max competition, max talent, max character, max Tigers. Mason Lunsford, bringing him into the fold here, it's fantastic because you could have Lunsford out at tackle, move Emory Jones into guard for this season. You could have Garrett Dellinger left guard, Emory Jones right guard, Lunsford right tackle, Will Campbell left tackle, and there you go. That's the thing, is Mason Lunsford immediately is going to put his name in that hat as someone who could start right out of the gate for LSU. But that's what's going to make the offensive line competition all the more interesting because, going at it against the defensive linemen for LSU, there's a lot of new faces on that defensive line as well. Kind of the same situation for LSU. Young D-line group as well, just like the O-line group. Transfer veterans have kind of come in. Some of those new pickups for LSU's defensive line. Same kind of tone with this offensive line. They didn't really have that guy until they got Mason Lunsford in. And really, when you look at everything, Lunsford was kind of a must, if you ask me. We really needed not only someone with veteran leadership, presence, all of the above, but someone who's also talented. Someone who also knew what they were doing. Someone who also has been there and done that before at a high level. I understand the ACC isn't the SEC. However, love what I see from Mason Lunsford's tape. I think he's more than equipped physically with the tools to survive in the SEC. Really like what I see from him. LSU with the offensive linemen, 2023, there was no drop-off. You thought, okay, 2023, LSU might look elsewhere or feel there's a priority. With the extended signing class now, the expanded signing classes, we don't have to say, oh, this is the main priority. We can just keep continuing to go after everybody and stack the talent every single season. We can just continue to do this. Where offensive line is still a priority every single year. Defensive line, still a priority every single season. We signed a quarterback still every single cycle. So, Tyree Adams, DJ Chester, and then, of course, Zalance Hurd, all, part of this last class, this last cycle coming in here. And you just know someone like Lance Hurd's going to be hurting for playing time. So you're going to see intense competition. And it makes me really proud that a lot of these guys are Louisiana offensive line talents. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Tyree Adams, Lance Hurd, of course. Louisiana offensive line talents, Bo Bordelon. It's something that they're trying to just. LSU aren't just going to Texas for offensive linemen, okay? And that's it. Just Texas, Florida, done. Louisiana is starting to really develop the offensive line position. And I think you're going to see with an offensive line coach like Brad Davis, hear I think you're going to see him you're going to see the offensive line really continue to elevate for the Tigers as a prime position.